Is my audio okay? So we are no, of course it's not okay. Turn it on. Is it okay now? Is better?
Oh no, the audio was way better before.
Was way better before than this. Hello?
Yep.
It was better than this.
Yeah, it was better before.
No, this is the mic I'm using the same as you, and before was from my Mac.
Um,
1, 2, 3. Sure.
okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, people let us know. Shit, I'm ruining this chat we have in here. So like really unprofessional. You know, you were you were saying about like US, and I wanted to say I was this year. It was the first time I was in the US the last year, and I enjoyed a lot. I loved it, and with all the homelessness, I didn't go California. Just like New York and Vegas. And when I got to Vegas, I was like, what a shithole it is. It feels like, from the scenery from Better Call Saul. Like you have the billboards, you have the dudes like tanning on the middle of the street, and it was so strange for me. Um,
I know. I understand. It must be jarring for a European.
but I kind of liked it. The people are super friendly. I didn't visit it, like I didn't see Florida, I didn't see California, so I don't know these regions. So I want to see again because I kind of really like American culture. Yeah, I'm European. I lived in Asia for quite a few years now. Hong Kong right now, and you were in Bali for quite some time.
Oh yeah, I lived in Bali for almost a year.
Yeah, where was it? Different places or?
Yeah, I did. So I traveled around Southeast Asia for a long time. I was a digital nomad back when I first started in crypto and hopped around, used Bali as a base, and then yeah, for Bali, if you're a tourist, you get a 2 month
Yeah, I know.
visa for free, and then
Hmm.
you got to hop out and hop back.
Hmm.
So that's how we typically did it. So I would go to like Thailand, neighboring countries in between, and like Vietnam, and just like look around and explore the world. And then I hopped over to Europe in the following year, and did the same thing. Kind of explored a few Western European countries, but mostly Eastern European because yeah, I just like enjoy the more underrated
Yeah,
places. Like I think like Paris is cool and everything, but still, there's like a bunch of overrated shit. Hawaii, it's so overrated. So it's just I like where the alpha's at. You know.
yeah. I hate Paris. No one speak English there. So fucking annoying, right? Um,
They're like, oh yeah, everyone should just be speaking French. I'm French.
yeah, it's so fucking like what the hell, dude? Like just speak the English and like I don't know. They seemed like angry all the time for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe because I didn't like speak French to them or something. It's like
Oh yeah, clear. You don't speak French. You're uncultured.
yeah,
All,
like
all the
I
Frenchies
I
are,
was
are gonna be
I
so
didn't
mad at this.
really enjoy that shit. Have you been to Poland? I'm from Poland.
Poland. Mm, I did go to what was that? No, I did not. I did not. No, I
Well,
almost
then
went there. I heard good things about Warsaw.
yeah, go now. It's cool. It's like I think it would be good place for event because it's like it's well compacted city. It's close everywhere. Like you have 8 hours flight from New York, 2 hours anywhere within Europe. A lot of talent, I would say. Like I didn't like the idea of making like Cosmoverse in Medellin or whatever, but people like that, right? Uh, not sure what's your opinion, but um yeah, like I know it's 2 months hop in and hop out because this is the way I lived in Hong Kong for 3 years, but on three
Mm.
months permits. And then the COVID started, and I
Ooh.
was separated from my girlfriend for 2 years. So
Oh no.
Yeah.
That must have been hard.
Yeah. But now I finally got my ID and I'm back here. I had some friends living in Bali. You know, they crack down on these visas now, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. They cracking down on the tourists doing that shit. Um. Yeah. Anyway, like I think like many people associate you with like everyone knows Chjango, right? In Cosmos. But not really like knows where you come from, especially like many new people that are coming. So
Mhm.
do you mind to like give like a little bit background of that, how you ended up in Cosmos? For like, I tell you, for me now, I work in crypto. Like when I joined, I was like, how it happens that people get work in crypto, right? Like it's the, so just a little bit if you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it is good to get the backgrounds of crypto native people. I consider myself a crypto native because I got into crypto when there was only Bitcoin around, and it was not cool at all. In fact, it was such a big risk that um I mean, I literally quit my job at, like a nice paying job, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I had a nice, sweet, solid 9 to 5. This was like
It's
2013,
NASA
2014.
department, right? It's like NASA department or something like. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
super
NASA has
low
9
cost.
laboratories. There's like Ames, Kennedy, there's um, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And they all have their different research niches. JPL was JPL is specifically around Mars, so they're the
Mhm.
ones that sends the rovers over. So I had like a nice cushy job. And when I said I'm going to throw it all away because I see Bitcoin and this thing is the future, I tell my mom this and I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm like leaving America. I'm going to live in Bali for a little bit. And she thought I was crazy. Everyone in my family was like,
Yeah.
what is she doing?
So
So
were your parents born in US?
no, I am a second generation
Yeah,
child of immigrants. They come from Taiwan,
right.
and then they immigrated to the U.S. and had me there. Um, so I'm like an ABC. That's what it's called, American born Chinese.
Yeah, so just asking because it's very different, like, to disappoint, to tell to parents like yours that you quit in well-paying job and
Yeah,
first
yeah, but
generation immigrant. That's why I ask.
yeah. I mean, it is, yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, they didn't have they couldn't do anything about it. If I was gonna go, I was gonna go. So but everyone thought I was crazy. So, I got into Bitcoin, and I had no marketable skill in crypto, because the only way that you could contribute to Bitcoin back in the day was to like be a coder or like a programmer, and you could only go into like a handful of companies. Like there's Blockstream, there's Purse, like Bitcoin core developers, and you had to understand like uh, how to code. So there was like really nothing for me to contribute to except to learn and like be
Mhm.
like grow my skill set. So that's what I did in Bali. And then, we hosted a couple of meetups every single week. It was both like a learning experience for me and a way to like get people around together. And then we're just talking, we're just like sharing gossip and talking about like, oh, there's this new thing called Ethereum. Like wonder how it's different from Bitcoin, and then, oh, there's like a DAO hack. So that stuff was going on. Um, and then eventually I ended up at Cosmos. I mean, it was like, I was doing Bitcoin stuff for like 3 years and like, writing about Bitcoin and being like a journalist and stuff and interviewing people since then. And then, Cosmos rolled around. Jaquan went on Epicenter there, and he was talking about the architecture and the vision. And then that was when I thought this is, yeah, this makes total sense. And, I don't know. I never really drank the Ethereum Kool-Aid, but Cosmos did make sense to me. So that was yeah, I joined. There was like a handful of people. There were maybe like 10 full-time
Yeah.
people there at the time. Sonny was there. I think he
There
joined like
was Jay, Ethan, you, Sunny. I know Matt Bell. Yeah, that's builds Nomic now.
Matt
Was
Bell.
there?
Yeah, Matt Bell was around. Ethan Fry was around.
Yeah.
Um, Ryan Crane, Jim Yang, and Pong. Pong was there. Pong's Pong Zong.
I
What's he saying?
I listened, like, this was a great time to be around, like when you said, because all the people that you met and were like people like you essentially become very influential people in the crypto space now, it appears, right? So it's
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. I think there's a certain culture and mindset that people who've been around for a very long time have and still have.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of people who entered the space due to different interests. Typically during a bull market, maybe interested in NFTs and stuff. A lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes the culture gets lost on people, right? People look to other people who've been around for a very long time as like ethos compasses.
Mhm.
Right, like occasionally you need a reminder about like why we're here doing the things we're doing in the space, right? Before there was any money that came in to like muddle the incentives. It was
Yeah.
this used to, I mean, this was about like a movement, right? It was
Mhm.
Bitcoin was born out of the 2008 financial crisis with the understanding that the bankers really fucked the everyday person. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was like truly a counter-cultural movement. It was like anyone who was anti-authority, anti-establishment, believer in like, bootstrapping things from the ground up and like circumventing the power centers of the world through technology and cryptography. That's the movement that we care about. It's not about
Mhm.
the money or anything. Now, money, the money and the price action, it's great. It's like a validating thing that the space is moving towards the total addressable market that we talked about in the beginning.
Yeah. People like to like focus on the money, like, so personal question, like, because you were so early, right? Did you made it big because of this? Did you like made it?
I don't like to talk about my financials, especially because I don't like putting a target on my back or anything, but
Right.
I did
Yeah.
not make
That
it.
that's cool. That no fear. Not like, because people like, I spoke to some people who are like not in it for money. Well, it's also stupid to say I'm not in it for money, right? Because that's no, like, you need some sort of incentive, right? But some people would say, yeah, like, I had my GMI moment there and there, and I stayed, I built, right? So it's not about like just focusing on money. So, like, Bitcoin was born in like from this crisis, but like, I had a chat with David from Babylon. Not sure if you heard of this.
Yeah,
And
I've talked to David.
amazing guy, right? Like, uh, great scholar. I think he's pretty good at explaining stuff, and we were
Mm.
chatting about how great is Bitcoin white paper, because um I never read white papers. I don't care about that shit, right? But I watched some podcast with him, and he said everyone should read Bitcoin white paper. And I don't care about the like technicalities is there, but if the random dude like me start reading Bitcoin white paper, it's easy, 9 pages, it's simple, it's clean, right? And so and we're this like, it probably wasn't just written right after crisis, right? It feels like it was crafted to perfection. Give it to the people, and it's like everyone will get it. Like, I
Yeah.
I don't want to shit on Atom 2.0 white paper, but I don't like but I think these people who wrote it, they should read Bitcoin white paper a few times to understand how you write things for people. So I since then, right?
There's
Where
there's there's a lot of things that get muddled when there is, you know, money and power to be had. So
yeah.
then you start introducing things that may or may not be for the best interest of a project if there's like there's other motives involved.
Hmm. Do you like, because you like, so you were there, um believing in this Bitcoin and like believing it's gonna have did you change your, sorry, did you change your mind from there, or like you still think it's this is it, or you kind of got more pessimistic view on Bitcoin and some crypto since 2015, let's say?
So yeah, I mean, if you look at the realities of anything, if you like just like dig a little bit deeper underneath the surface, I mean, if you take over Bitcoin, if you know, if like a state actor takes it over, if there's any choke point that they could point to, people are going to take it. You know, and there are certain things that are worrisome to me, but at the same time, the technology and the idea is out there. So
Mhm.
it's what's hopeful and what I'm optimistic about is that people could still take this base technology. It may not be Bitcoin, it may not be Ethereum, maybe not even Cosmos, but people could still use this technology, this idea, and build something that will help us through hard times. And by hard
Mhm.
times, I mean like centralizing forces and as time progresses and there's more power concentrated in the hands of a few, it's only going to get harder for the average person as inflation
Yeah.
rises, right? Everything. So
Mhm.
from that perspective, I'm hopeful. Um, but there's certain things like if you look at Ethereum and how I don't know what the percentage is. It's like over 90% of its decentralized applications. They require Infura, and if Infura ever gets taken over, there goes its entire ecosystem. Like there's just like certain things that are worrisome.
Mhm.
So that stuff happens.
Yeah.
Centralization happens over time.
It's funny, like, sometimes I see what's the CEO of JP Morgan?
Oh, Jamie
Right.
Dimon.
Jamie Dimon. I see him some.
Is it Jamie Dimon?
I heard he's a small guy. Not relevant. I know you small person too.
Yeah, I'm a very tiny human being.
I heard he's tiny too.
Oh, okay.
But I see him sometimes speaking, and I know that he knows if I would want, I can own crypto. you know, just like it. Like it's no, like this idea that it's going to challenge bank. Now he's sitting there, no, dude, I can take it over. Like I can owe you, which is I also was like, because every time you come, you are very hopeful, but I feel even I was very hopeful about Cosmos, and then I get enter community, and over time I feel I become very bitter. It's like it's not what I imagined. It's actually very dirty. It's often using the rhetoric that is simply not true, like that the rhetoric that is presented often, like we are community driven, it's all about community. And then you enter, and if you are community, you are not really part of anything. Like you don't make decisions, your vote doesn't matter, and it's very dark, but that's reality. I can yeah, I think we gonna go on with this, but
It
you
it
know that.
depends.
Mhm.
It depends
Yeah.
if, I mean, I think that any experiment that is worthwhile has something like this. Um,
Hmm.
and it also depends, if there's a completely community driven project, I would look at I think Handshake is that, where there is a leadership void and a power void where everyone's say means something, but at the same time, you create your own destiny.
Hmm.
Meaning, if there's not a central treasury or anything like that, it's also like an uphill battle. You know, and you face different problems than you would in a more leader driven community like
Hmm.
Ethereum, or I guess you know the the oligarchs in Cosmos. I would
Hmm.
say you call
Yeah.
it oligarchs.
Um. You know Ted Kaczynski Unabomber. I'm like,
The
it's
Unabomber, yeah.
Unabomber. So the I went into, like, I read about Unabomber more out of the curiosity, and then like went to crypto and learning, and I was like, and now I feel like I'm wonder why manifesto do not resurface, especially when now it's more like trend that people more like radicalize sometimes. I think like it's weird that, for example, Andrew Tate become popular, but not Unabomber, who was like more ideological about that. Like, maybe I'm talking crazy stuff, but Unabomber like was onto something of saying, once you have system in place, it's over. You can
Hmm.
try to change it. You can't. So
Yes.
to actually establish new system, you would have to completely burn down existing system. It has
Yeah.
to cease to exist. So this is how I see crypto, right? Crypto come, and they're like, we gonna change the monetary system. We gonna, you know, change the banks. You can't. The banks have amazing power, and it's not necessarily wrong. The banks are not necessarily, they have license to issue money, uh, and the system is in place, and they could easily acquire the certain ownership of that regarding the system changing, so the system continues being on the certain track, but you cannot change the system. Like, and I feel like at least that's how I view Unabomber, right? That's how I view his writing and his ideology, leaving the fact that he was a terrorist, right? But more as the someone who, and it's important to like understand that he was also like a little bit hurt by society. Many people see him as the first incel that was out there, which is, have you heard the term
Incel.
incels?
No, he was voluntarily sell.
I I mm, I I think he wasn't volunteering. Like, I think he was like really looking maybe for love, and he
Oh, okay.
could my feeling. I like to try to feel um for people. But yeah, that just that's how I think. And now I see like the largest possible adoption, USDC, which is also very dark. And
Hmm.
you know
Yeah.
um
I
mm,
mean, yeah. So it's really hard. I mean, Bitcoin is, sorry, not Bitcoin. I mean, yeah, crypto is supposed to be this. I mean, look, I after the whole collapse from last year, you name it, right? Luna to
mhm,
3AC to FTX, and seeing the rise of FTX as well.
yeah,
Um, and seeing as how somebody could come out of left field and then just take over so much power and influence in the industry, and centralize everything, and then manipulate markets to just pick winners and losers in terms of coins, whether or not they have merit or not. It was just, I mean, that'll get anyone so pessimistic. Um,
mhm,
you know, but there's still people who reasonably understand these technologies enough that aren't necessarily motivated by money, who are going to build something that changes the world, you're not going to see it this cycle, maybe not even next cycle, but maybe in the next 3 cycles. You know,
Yeah.
it can creep up and seemingly come out of nowhere. And to what you were talking about, systems, you know, once a system gets bootstrapped and then it's gets perpetrated, it becomes this perpetual motion machine that
Yeah.
nobody who gets entrapped in that system can get out of it. You know, it all starts from interest, like debt.
Hmm.
So I'm reading a book right now. It's by Richard Hoskins. It's called War Cycles, Peace Cycles, and it
Can
enumerates
you repeat?
War Cycles, Peace Cycles by Richard Hoskins. And this is a book that explains exactly what starts wars and the origins of taxes. So this is the system in which we all live in right
Hmm.
now. The system is called the usury system, an interest-based system, and it's the idea that you know, if you have a finite amount of money, you have a finite amount of labor, those things are constant, and yet, you know, in this economy, if there's like $10, 10 fiat dollars, and I loan you those $10 and suddenly make up the fact that you owe me one more dollar at the end of the year, you know, creating one extra dollar, so like $11 out of a finite economy of 10, that's basically the start of evil. Like in scripture, usury systems are like banned. You know, God says you may not do this, and yet our entire modern economy runs on debt. And so when we start this, then, you know, this like perpetuates wars, because people fight wars because they can't pay off the debts. And then in order for the debtors, the issuers of the money, to prevent a war, they tax its native citizens to pay off some of the money, some of the interest.
You can also tax them via inflation, right? That's easy to.
Yes, that as well. And it's just like a double whammy when you tax them and print money at the same time. So
Yeah.
what's the point of taxing them if you could make up money out of thin air?
Yeah. I was laughing because once you loan the dollar, that's the start of the system, right? The first bank that was ever established hundreds years ago, maybe even 1,000 years ago, essentially that event led to Bitcoin and crypto.
Right.
You know, like when you
Yeah.
think of this
Right. Yeah.
stupid idea that you can loan money other person accelerated like all the system that we now live in, and creation of money and all of that stuff, which is ridiculous. Like we got stuck in it, right? Um and what is the solution? Like burning this down and going back to tribalism, right? That would be quite
No,
strange.
you can't, because I mean, you can't go back to a barter system. You know,
Yeah.
you need money. So I think, I mean, the Bitcoin thesis is that you needed to go back to a sound money, not a debt based money. So yeah, we just can't go back to a barter system. It just doesn't work.
So
It can't. It doesn't scale.
so you think Bitcoin is sound money?
For now, it
Okay.
continues to be, but
So now
there's
mhm, going to give you argument, okay? Contra argument. Like so despite the credit system being all negative, right? And putting us in this infinite loop of accelerating and going into worse and worse money, right? We got gold, silver, diluted silver, paper, whatever. Like we keep going with the money that travel faster. And then we get the credit system, and I think we ended now. I believe it's said. Some economists say that the fractional reserve is theory, but it doesn't actually exist. And when you look into that, like on how money is issued, there is no fractional reserve or anything like that, right? You get the license to issue money, and you can issue money. on the, but also because of this system, when you look at 20th century, the acceleration of progress was insane, right? The thing with the, and we're accelerating even faster. And it seems this acceleration is due to issuance of the credit, right? You Chjango, you entrepreneur, right? Like, and people know she's
Yes,
so good
credit
with money,
interest rate.
she's
Yeah.
talented, she has a house, whatever, she's accomplished. You go to the bank and they give you $2 million, right? You didn't have this money, and then you create great business venture, and within like 5 years you are worth 500 million because you created this insane business venture, right? So this issuance of the credit keep accelerating innovation as well.
Mhm.
So you, the simple person, were able to put your hands on $2 million. My issue with Bitcoin is it liquidates labor. It's actually it actually worse system than the credit system. The reason why, because it puts the aristocracy on the pedestal who can sit on that, leverage that. And if you would use the sound money and accept this as the medium of exchange, you constantly liquidating labor, you constantly liquidating poor people. And because this money is sound, is worth, you incentivize people to not spend them. Prices go down, and we get into opposite infinite loop of 1930 crisis, where money gets too tight and people goes hungry, right? Am I onto something, or total nonsense?
I mean, so yeah, in a vacuum, if there were only Bitcoin as money, that's true. But we don't we don't live in a vacuum. You know, I think that Bitcoin has found its use case, and
Hmm.
that is store of value. So it doesn't. I don't think that it functions as a medium of exchange or
Yeah.
necessarily a unit of
Hmm.
account, but only a store of value.
Hmm.
So, you know, we would use like a stable coin or a fiat currency for medium of exchange and unit of
Hmm.
account, but I would not store anything, um,
Yeah.
in something that's getting inflated away.
Yeah. um this is what I got. I got impression from the Bitcoin white paper that it meant to be the idea. It didn't mean to be, like when I read, I felt like Satoshi knew it's just an idea. He must have knew it one scale, right? He wanted monetary system, but it was like, here is the idea I'm giving you, and the Bitcoin is this example, and somehow Bitcoin now become so big. That's my feeling. I might be wrong here, but I think, if Satoshi is alive, he would be like, it's not money. Like, it was just the idea. I wanted to put this out there. You know, um, Handshake. You mentioned Handshake, um, and I believe I become a person involved in the Handshake because of you. Um, I
Interesting.
Yeah. I follow because I followed you on Twitter as the Cosmos person, because I was in the Cosmos, and you were keep tweeting about Handshake. So I looked into the Handshake, and I become involved. I what was the name based CEO before? Um,
Station.
yeah, I this was one of the first interviews I ever did on my channel with. Yeah. Was pretty good. Was so, but it kind of, don't want to say died down because it works, right? But the um I got like, by Stargaze integrated Handshake, which is pretty cool. You owe bicycle, right?
I do, yeah. The emoji.
Yeah. I
and a
I
handful of other ones.
yeah, I stalked you there. Do you see the handshake ever getting adoption and integration within this
Oh
like?
yeah, absolutely. It's just going to take a really long time. I
Mhm,
mean, like I said earlier when we were talking about the trade-offs between different communities, it's that with Handshake, it's a completely leaderless project, which means that adoption gets much slower
mhm,
because there's no central team that's out there shilling the project or anything with hundreds of
mhm,
millions of dollars to throw at integrations. And if you've worked on the inside of a project long enough, it's actually pretty sad to see that all of this is pay to play. A lot of it is. If you want press attention, you're paying money to a PR team to put out like a news cycle. You're paying money to Masari to get them to do like a huge research report. You're paying money to get Brave to integrate you. Paying money to exchanges to list you. All of that. It's all pay to play because they all operate under the model of, well, this foundation has raised a couple, tens of millions of dollars at the minimum,
mhm,
and none of them reckon with the idea that crypto could be bootstrapped from like a Bitcoin origin story anymore,
mhm,
you know? So that's the pitfall. Handshake is I think Handshake is the best technology out there. It has the most decentralized governance, and it is community bootstrapped, which means that I think in 10 years, because of this technology, it's just going to keep running. Slowly as people get more censored over time, especially at the DNS level.
mhm,
I think that's a reasonable possibility to expect. Then people they're going to start looking at decentralized alternatives. It took so many of these hard lessons for people to give a fuck about decentralization.
mhm,
It took people losing thousands of dollars to like billions of dollars on FTX
mhm,
to say, okay, well, maybe we should custody our own coins, custody our own assets. You know, it took like getting deplatformed, demonetized off of all of the major streaming stations and social media outlets for people to say that, okay, well, maybe this Web3 domain name idea has some legs. But a lot of the way I think that the way that the current dominant model, like ENS, unstoppable domains, even like ICNS, is being done, it's like a halfway step. It's the toy implementation where the logical conclusion is Handshake.
mhm.
You know, so
Um, yeah, like yeah, it also would help Cosmos. It would solve the issue of the name services. Like, but it's interesting because like a lot of people also think ENS is actually domain, like not realizing that it's nothing. Like, right? It's just NFT. Um,
right.
and like when people like it's such a basic thing, but when people find out on this, it's like, oh really? Or they will say like, yeah, I have unstoppable domain, which is like make me sick to the stomach, right? Like, because this is like literally a disgusting centralized company that trying to sue
Disgusting
handshake
company.
names all the time. Like it's and every time I hear unstoppable domain, I see the like shiny face of Lark Davis, this big YouTuber who was sponsored by like Unstoppable Domains. So
Yeah, it's what happens. There's one team, you make a really good marketing promise. And if you look at
yeah,
their code, it's like 100 lines of just, straight copy paste, copy pasta
yeah,
ENS code. It's not even original. I don't think they even spent 1% of the amount that they raised on engineering at all.
yeah.
There's probably
No,
one guy who like forks, who knows how to like fork Solidity code, deploy contract, and then the rest is all paid in legal fees, trademark offices, and marketing.
yeah.
They The USPTO just approved a patent for them, blockchain domain name, blockchain domain names. They
Well,
patented
it's
that. They
nonsense. You
trademarked it.
cannot have like this is. I want to say like yeah, they might think it's great because like probably majority of money goes for lawyers and marketing, right? For what they do. That's the business model.
And I mean, yeah, right. Tell me this: is that decentralized? Is that a crypto project?
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you have me and you, right? And okay, the people might buy the unstoppable domains because they want to flip for a dollar, but people will never buy them because they kind of align with the crypto ethos, right? They will never do it. Or if Web3 get adopted, like, and the people who will be building Web3, those who align with ethos, will never use unstoppable domain. So they might try, but if you'd get this adoption, people will use Handshake, and then what unstoppable domain sue them? Who are you gonna sue? Protocol,
Yeah.
right?
So, well,
Owner of the Handshake domain?
yes, the user. That's what they've been going. So, because there was no one to sue in Handshake,
Yeah.
Unstoppable Domains with its like $60 million treasury is going after one guy who bought one domain name. So,
So
it's like a double, like a two-faced thing. On one face, they're marketing to Web3 users saying, oh, own your own sovereign name. And then boom, goes to a Handshake user who owns his own sovereign name, but it's on a competitor protocol, and
yeah,
sues the shit out of him.
yeah.
Just some random guy, like you or me, right? And now he has to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees just to fight this, even though he's in the right, and all of his lawyers say it's likely he's going to win. But the legal fees alone is enough of a barrier to get him to kneel.
Yeah. I need to be, but I'm not in US. Like, so I guess it's I owe one name that also unstoppable domains owe. I owe one name on
Yeah,
Handshake.
well, you better watch out because if
So I
they
better
start.
like remove the signs on the Twitter. And I never like
No, I mean, no. No, that's not the way you fight them.
no.
No, fuck that. Don't kneel to them. The way
I mean,
you.
it's shitty domain actually. Like it's if you think it's okay to say, it's
Oh yeah, what is it?
it's ATH as all time high, which is like shitty domain. I don't know who would use it, but I
No, it's
always
actually it's a good name. ATH.
yeah, I always
ATH is a really good name. 3-letter names are so valuable.
I owe quite
You could
few.
have
Yeah.
BATH Bath. Oh my god. Can you imagine? That is a really good name. I don't know what you're talking about. I'll buy it from you if you think it's a shitty name.
I mean I just think like sorry, maybe I felt embarrassed to make because this is like cringe name. Oh, that you know what I mean?
Well, because the
It's,
context, your context is all-time high, but
yeah,
Bath, Bed Bath and Beyond, Bath and Body Works. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
That's a
Oh wow, yeah. Someone's
yeah, it's not
someone,
beyond that context.
someone's gonna have GMI moment, right?
Yeah, that's a you gotta you stumbled upon a really good name. But I mean, hey, look, the way you fight these people is you DDoS them. So right now the plan is but they're only going after one guy, and they're pouring millions of dollars into that case to fight this one just like average Joe who has
Yeah.
a dot wallet. But then there are others who have dot crypto, dot blockchain, dot NFT, dot ATH, and
Yeah.
you guys should all launch something like a website with that name to say that there's like prior art and prior usage, so that way you could fight
Yeah.
Unstoppable in their like with fight against the arguments that they're making. They're arguing that even though the dot wallet owner minted that name on Handshake before Unstoppable put more usage and users behind their dot wallet. So therefore, because of US trademark law, they're arguing that like first usage, not first ownership, actually gets reserves the right of use to the trademark.
Yeah. You know, like, not sure if you're in touch with Namebase. uh I'm annoying, like, who was he? Johnny? He went a little bit off, you know, like, you know,
Yeah.
the situation. I meant to do interview with him, and then I realized there was something wrong, so I didn't do it. With all the situation when he left Namebase. But he was great. Like, I mean, what he was, when you needed support on name, which is centralized, I enjoyed using it despite that, right? When Tishun was
It's
there.
fine for Namebase to be centralized because
Yeah,
Namebase
yeah, yeah.
is like
So I really
Coinbase.
enjoyed using that, and you know, before the support was really great. Since he left, I fucking hate it. Like, you know, just I don't know. They hired some random dudes, and I messaged them for like 5 months that I want to lower the registration fee, and they keep saying they will get back to me. They check get back to me, and I can't do anything. And you know, to
Mm.
unregister it, it takes 1 year. So because I registered the ATH via Namebase, right? And I think the price is too high, so I was thinking I want to do it like a couple dollars, just this, or maybe the least this, but I can't get it, so it's just there, like, listed, and I can't do anything. I
Mm.
got some other names. I have Emo, um, you know,
Emo?
like
EMO?
EMO. Yeah, I have.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah,
a really good
I
name.
got really, you know, right after I would say I'm degen in the way, like, when I get hooked up on something, I don't think so. It was around March, April, May. So Handshake was like quite trending, and you were tweeting a lot about Handshake. So I got into Handshake, and I like ATH. I got for 5,500 HNS now, which now would be worthless. It's like 4K, right? Which is still okay. Like, so emo the same. Then I bought like emoji for 7K or stuff. I like really was, I got so obsessed, crazy, and I made some connections there that kind of faded. You know, I was chatting with some people. It was great community. It was very small, but you know, very very good community. So yeah, I have a bunch of names, and some of them are really really cool. Some 3-letter names, but don't even
If
look
you
into them.
if you want a peek into what the Bitcoin community felt and
Yeah,
behaved like in the early days, you'll
yeah,
check out the Handshake community as it is right now.
yeah. That I do you know? I actually, so here's the. Do you know Nick? Nick, he's Angry Mouse. Probably maybe don't, but he was like very excited. He's part of the community, Handshake community. He worked with the he knows he's part of this group, the Skynet Labs or whatever is the guy that he also has YouTube channel. So when you told about Stargaze should integrate Handshake, so I messaged that to Stargaze, and they said, "Yeah, we need to look into integration." So then I messaged Nick, who knows well Handshake, and I was like, and he's like, asking him who owned the name .stars. He looked for me. He said, "Johnny actually owned that name."
Mm.
That, you know, and they made a deal, and then Nick integrate and to this, and in the aftermatch, the Nick got a job at Stargaze. So I was quite happy that, you know, like, so like someone got a job. Was like, I feel like really excited when it happens, when you connect something. So it's not big step, right? Because no one will use Handshake now, but I think it's like fun that Stargaze did it, and it's like quite cool name. So yeah. um Sorry to like, because when you go to Osmosis, there is the picture of a girl that looks like you. And are you affiliated with
Amelia.
Osmosis?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you part of the team still actively?
Yes.
Right. Um, there was some controversy with the name services, right? What do you think? Like,
What controversy?
well, because Stargaze did the name service, right? And then ICNS came and is like,
Oh yeah.
hey, like, why would Osmosis try to get the names for interchain? Like, well, synapses, exactly, right? And um a lot of people feel bad about this, and
Yeah,
also
I'm
like
sure.
the onboarding via Twitter, you can't even get off the name once you like. I understand like they thinking, but it's very like Web 2 thinking. Like let's be honest that ICNS. Um, what do you think, especially as someone affiliated with this company? Stargaze felt a little bit not great because of what they did, and I think actually big part of the community. I think Jake Harnell had some even blog post about this.
Um, so my understanding of this was that I mean, both were kind of being developed at
Hmm.
similar time frames, or at least the idea was being talked about at Osmosis around this like a similar time.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, Chainapsis was the lead in developing that, so it was,
Yeah.
and they just they sprinted toward a deployment. I don't know why it was when it was, and the timing was when it was. So I think the timing was very unfortunate. But I actually did learn about Stargaze's name service idea before ICNS even.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all. That's all I can say. I think the timing was unfortunate.
Would you say that Osmosis trying to Synapse trying to create monopole within the
Monopoly or
yeah
what?
monopoly via Dex wallet and name service?
I mean, just from a strictly objective
Hmm.
perspective, it's like the product is a natural. It's like a natural step function iteration on like a wallet product, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense as the next thing, whether or not they needed to make a native thing. Yeah, I don't. It's
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not that like, because I think that's my opinion. I think it was bad move from Kepler. And the reason for that is I would expect there will be a lot of new wallets coming, and
mm,
because people will be like, no, fuck it. Just, Kepler was in great position. Oh, we integrate you, pay us money, like we grow. No one was bothered to make wallet. And now they're like, no, fuck it. I would expect we're gonna get like tens of wallets, and so I'm not really bothered by that name service, but yeah, that I think this is the outcome. Like the outcome will be just like you will have sovereign chains deciding to build whole infrastructure for themselves. So people who more align like with certain project will be using the wallet, and that could be like if you use mainly Osmosis, right, on the daily basis, you will use Kepler and ICNS. If you use if your main kink is the NFTs, you will probably use Stargaze, right, and some other wallet if there will be, right. So yeah, just wanted to touch on this. I want to thank you. You did one. I don't want to say you did one great video. You had like many great videos. Um, Atom 2.0. It was the best video that anyone could make on Atom 2.0 ever. Like, um, I shared that. I don't know how many people have seen that. Um, Maybe you can share how you voted, but like I want to give you a little bit like background of my thinking there. So Atom 2.0 went live, and soon, and it's all yes, right? And then you have the uh, with Jacob. Jacob is my friend, right? And he shares the Jake one GitHub with the pictures of Jews, Jewish people, and there is like whole return, and it's like Nazi. So it becomes the war: vote yes or you are Nazi kind of, right? This is, hey, he's bad person, like you need to, and exactly in the Atom 2.0, like it's everywhere, right? The Jake one is a Nazi, like not like I felt like it. I didn't enjoy this because they created a group on Telegram that I stopped posting there. Like I thought it become like, the internet is like, so like you would expect the discussion is on the level. If you went to Atom 2.0 governance, it was all the show for me. So it was, they made it, and then like people were texting, like pretend that something happens, but no feedback was taken, right? Then probes go on chain. And when all of this resurfaced, you go to this group, and the discussions were like, hey, Koreans cannot be Nazi. Like, that was happening. And I'm like, and it was so funny. And I got kicked out of the group because I shared the Taiwanese school marching with like swastika.
What?
So I got, yeah, like a few years ago, there was a situation, the kids in the Taiwan's high school, they made the show and they were pretending to be Nazis. So, like in Asia, it's like it happens, like, because they don't really understand. So it was, but it was such a funny discussion that I decided to just go with this rhetoric because it had nothing to do with Atom 2.0. And it took away from and then you made the video that you actually break down and gave the fair look objectively without mentioning all that shit. Right. And I watched
Yeah,
it
because
and I was
it's all
like,
besides the point.
and finally someone break it down, because as I said before, like the white paper, like I don't understand the word is there, like and for me, I didn't really like it because it was like liquid staking will become a norm, 90% of tokens will be liquid staked. I'm like, based on what? Like, based on, like, you know what I mean, like this theory, you place in theory as the fact in this white paper. So I didn't really like it. And you broke it down quite like really well, and you gave the fair platform. What's your take on Atom 2.0 discussion around this?
I mean, if you look at, if if an alien were looking at humans talking amongst each other as if this were a social experiment, this would just be like a small microcosm indicative, like just like the greater like human experience. It's like with everything. I think it's true. The quote says 2% of people think, 3% of people think they think, and the 95% of people fail to think, or they would rather die than to think. And so when you see conversations get derailed in such a manner, and people derailing conversations in that way for whatever, for clout, for political reasons, for alliances, that's just, I mean, that's how
Yeah.
humans interact.
Yeah.
People are going to do that, right? Like it's like 90, what a majority of that, of the rhetoric was around Nazism, which
Yeah.
which is, like Jaquan's personal beliefs are his personal beliefs.
It's
Also, I mean,
irrelevant.
reducing it to Nazism is also very it's like very like like one dimensional way of looking at that. I don't like condone that, or or like discourage it. Whatever it is, it's his personal beliefs. Everyone has their personal opinions, but that has nothing to do with the subject matter at hand and what was being proposed.
Mm-hmm. Like, obviously you don't know context. You don't know if he was trolling. You don't know he was mentally well. Maybe he's into conspiracies, and plenty of people like this, and it's absolutely fine. Like that's how the world is. Like, that's like, deal with this, right? Some people don't like each other. This this is how. But it was interesting because that discussion showed me I was I was looking at this and I thought it's beautiful because it was like art performance. It didn't make sense. And I was like, I understand the internet now. And I feel I changed a little bit. I decided since then I'm not gonna try to make discussions because it actually doesn't matter. Like this is like the internet, especially like Telegram groups and Twitter is like the chamber. You just throw sentences, and it's like brainless. You just throw it, and it gets like absorbed. And I thought like I looked at this, and I was like, this is art performance. Like that was so funny to me, and it's absolutely meaningless to try to have any discussion. Like it's and yeah, like maybe I'm thinking too dark for the discussion. I feel, are you reserved a little bit from the hub now, or you still
What
feel involved
reserved?
from the hub, from the Cosmos hub, or you like feel involved in the hub?
So on the hub itself, um, there's like competition to try and be the leader of it, and be the one making the decisions and trying to, I guess, corner some of the value from being the leader of it. And so that to me is a lot less interesting than the development of the entire ecosystem and like how various people are actually going to be using the technology to get to the
Uh-huh.
destination that we're trying to get to, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm like a very big picture person. I think that, I mean, I spent like 3.5 years at Tendermint in this like struggle.
Mhm.
Everyone is seeing the struggle outside now because it imploded and we're not all working in the same team now. But people didn't realize that this was going on for years before it all came into the public lens.
Yeah. But
So it's just like this struggle is unproductive. It doesn't get the hub or the ecosystem further. It's just a bunch of people trying to take power and
yeah,
influence, and it's failing to see the bigger picture.
yeah,
Where I mean, like, what are you in crypto for? We're trying. Like, who's the final boss? The final boss is like the banks. It's the Federal Reserve, Gary Gensler, the regulators. It's not really each other. So
mhm. Um,
that's the
yeah,
way I
like
see it.
um, it's interesting because now it's like still happen. Like I tell you something funny. Like I see
It'll
some new
it'll
people sudden.
always it'll perpetuate itself as long as the same players are around. Because there's
Like
so much history, so much interpersonal baggage still hanging above the hub.
yeah, recently, like I saw some new person and I was like, where? I never seen you before. And it's like, yeah, when Atom 2.0 happening and all that Nazi stuff, I offered my help. And I was like, what the hell you even mentioned the Nazi stuff? Like, like I don't give a shit. Like, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with this person? Why he started the conversation from that? Like, how is this relevant to anything?
Oh, so it's not the crypto and decentralization movement that got him interested in the space. It's the fight against someone
Yeah,
who they
like
perceive as a Nazi.
yeah, like I saw that Nazi stuff and I offered my help. Like I was like, I
Jay's not a Nazi. He's not even like for Nazism. It's
like
I
I
mean,
don't feel that from him. Like I don't feel that. Like
it's not. It's
I was blocked by Jay for a while, just because
That's
I
pure
posted.
FUD.
But I was like, dude, why would I care about that? Like you know what I mean. So it was very strange, and it's in relation to this recent grant program. Not sure if you've seen it. Have you?
Mm.
Okay, so it was funny because um 2 people from the grant program, they are there. And it's like, I'm gonna go into conspiracy, but as the joke, okay? They have the Stargaze Punk PFP. I'm like, that's what CIA would do if they would like to blend in community, because it's like the most, like, you choose the, like, you don't know what's going on. It's like, I'm gonna set the Stargaze Punk so they think I'm the community member of Cosmos. And I was like, uh, there was the discussion, and I heard these people listened, and I thought, like, they're clueless. They don't know anything, no technicalities, no nothing. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna support this. Yeah, sorry for um boring you with this.
No,
Um,
look, anytime that there is power and money involved, there's going to be players who are drawn to those incentives.
mhm,
So, a few years ago, the literal World Economic Forum made a proposal to create like a Uniswap Treasury DAO. I don't remember the outcome of that proposal, but they asked for like several $1 million for them to manage this money.
yeah,
It was like the majority of the members of that DAO were from the literal WEF.
yeah,
And you know, so it's just when we're talking about how the space uh, is getting infiltrated by people who are drawn to money and power and like control, that's what it does. Before there were those things, those carrots. It was only the ideologues. It was only the people who believed in the movement and like what this
mhm,
technology can bring to better society. But as with everything over time, when it becomes more influential and it gains like mainstream attention, then those people emerge.
mhm,
Last DEF CON with a Blue DAO, Harmony introduced a diversity and inclusion program, which attracted people who were there just for those purposes. And then they tried to Me Too like a totally innocent guy at DEF CON.
oh yeah, it was quite loud because I think because he was like, wasn't he photographer, and he was just photographing. I wanted them, like, then to stand
No,
behind.
he so those 3D like the pictures where like you stand in the middle and then like a camera
Yeah,
takes
yeah,
pictures,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like a
yeah,
moving one.
yeah,
So someone was standing there, or like the girls were standing on that, like taking pictures. And then this guy like shouts at them from across, and he goes like, "Jump! You need to jump!" And it was like across like probably a sea of people or something. And then the girls were like, "Huh?" And then one of the girls, the leader, the one that Me Too'd him, she was like, stop it, harassment." And he was like, what? So it was like a miscommunication. And then next thing he knows, that girl calls over the organizers of DevCon to like kick him out. And
yeah,
then so he's like, there's like a huge public embarrassment over this misunderstanding. And then he was told by the organizer that this girl complained about sexual harassment. And he was like, "Sexual harassment? What do you mean? I just told them to jump because it makes the picture better. It makes the outcome of
yeah,
the 3D video better." And they were like, "No, you need to leave because she told me that you were sexually and verbally harassing them."
yeah,
And that was just like like a blatant Me Too, And this blew up on Twitter, and he wrote his own side, his own take. And then, because good thing in the crypto sphere, there's more people who are aligned with truth and justice than there are with wokeness. People sided with him because his
mhm,
story was more plausible. And
yeah,
she on Twitter like doubled down,
yeah.
doubled down, and said, "No, no, he's a harasser, whatever, whatever." And she never apologized for like blaming, accusing like an innocent person.
Mhm. Yes, in crypto there is a lot of people with common sense, but there is also people who doesn't have common sense, and it's very like difficult for me, for example, to find the community, and the community that I enjoyed the most, like I'm actually into, is on Ethereum. It's like just which is
milady.
yeah. It's this community, because I will like elaborate on this. It's the purest
Yeah,
crypto.
I think you red pilled me on milady officially, and
um
Remilio.
yeah. Get one. I'm the Remilio whale, so it will benefit me. I mean, I don't know, like I don't want to speculate on the, and I joined because I felt hooked up on the art factor that's out there. I really like to. So but going like with the cancellations, and this is the same in Cosmos. Like, I can tell you, sometimes, Jake Harnell. I really like Jake Harnell. um Despite he's from San Francisco, he's rare example. I mean, actually, like, I realized a lot of San Franciscans are not really woke. Like, this was quite in, like, I don't even like word woke, because what if I'm woke? Like, I don't like to, like, but you get what I mean. And he, around himself, created really nice community, and we do Twitter spaces quite often, and it's like 30 of us, 20 of us. It's many people affiliated with like Juno, but it's after all this crash and all of the others was removed, and we sit
Yes,
there like 20 of us, and we ramble for hours and brainstorm ideas, and we can call each other names. No one gets censored, right? It's so it
or
created
offended.
this, yeah, like, it created this really cool community. Sometimes people would go and be offended, and it's like, fine. And it's the most exciting, like, now this is the time I feel most excited about crypto. Like,
Yes.
I hated 2021. It was stressful. The prices were like very volatile. You don't know what to do. The attachment to community is very narrow. And now we can have human connection with each other and be very sensual, and have this discussion, right? Um, but I found community on Ethereum that was cancelled, and this was most appealing for me. Like, when I saw someone was um, cancelled, it was like, I want to be part of it. This is which may be becoming a trend. Like, I'm not sure if you know the background of milady a little bit, how they were cancelled.
Yeah, you told me it was over Nazi FUD again.
Yeah, like
Similar
there's
thing.
this famous account, 0x NGMI, very big, like, I think it's DeFi Llama or something, like, whole thread about them Nazi grooming, suicide cults, and stuff like this. Um, Interestingly, uh, over half year later, still not a single victim, right? So uh, it's because you don't understand that internet is fun place, and people can fake out stuff and just do creepy shit. That's how it is. But I also remember, it was like when I was 16. That was the internet. It was fun. You chat to random people, and quite often when I would get to communities in Cosmos, you would make a joke, and people would be like, "Hey, what's wrong with this guy?" Right? Like, I think he's losing it. Is he having mental breakdown, or um? So to and I find, like, and when I went to like milady Discord, like, the Discord was just jumping, like, it was bear market, no one cared anything, and there was milady Discord like flashing, and no one talked about NFTs, and I was like, that's the shit I want. That's the community. So I view the NFTs as the performance art, right? Like, and
Right.
and not many NFTs get that, right? Like, they drop the pictures, and this is the art. It's not the art. Internet is very new, and we didn't really have the what's the internet art? 4chan is internet art, right? Like I would see it. So internet art is interactive. When you have the NFT, you create like community around this, the certain way of posting, and the whole surrounding of that creates the art. And when you create some doodles and people have the picture, there's the picture, and you speculate on the price, but it's not art like that. Maybe I'm talking like crazy shit now, right?
No, so I didn't get this sense in any other NFT art project aside from Milady. The Milady and Remilio, the core feeling around it, I get the thing. Like I start thinking Banksy, but Banksy, like Banksy wasn't just stencil art; it was cultural and political commentary stenciled onto a wall, and then part of the performance art was also how people who walked by it reacted to that art and felt, and subsequently joined that movement and became a Banksy themselves.
Mhm.
You know?
Yes, this is like yeah, this is amazing like comparison. Maybe there is other NFTs that have this like vibe around. And I still get
Maybe I
confused,
haven't seen it.
like yeah, like I haven't. And maybe there are things I don't know about milady. I don't care, like I just got so hooked. Like I feel like I'm in a museum when I feel like milady, and it's not about this picture, it's about everything. It's like, it's like cancellation, bots farms, picture, way of talking, all of that is as the one. That's how I see it, and that's what got me hooked up. I sent you that tweet before, like, well, the tweet was like, let me read it. Did you get me, lady, already?
I haven't gotten a Milady yet. I honestly, like I told you, resonate more not
Remilia.
with the chibi Asian girl, but with her younger brother, the based
Remilia,
retard.
who's retard, and he's about like money. That's making. But this is strange thing. Like we start talking. I told you Remilia, and they were minting for like 5 months already, and it was only like 4,500 minted. Then I went to bed. In the morning it was minted out, like overnight. 5,000 remedios minted just a week ago or a few days ago, which was like
Oh wow.
weirdest thing. And I heard the same thing happened with milady, which is another art. Like it's weird. It's just like, so there was this tweet that I said, you're a weak human being with weird schizofixation on other people's lives, and etc. This was like how I would respond to uh, uh, the bots. Let's call them bots. This is real people, but let's call them. When they tweeted something nonsensical, I decided to stop engaging, and I don't want to. And many Cosmos people were like, "Don, this is wrong." I have validator partner. I'm not sure. Do you run your nodes by yourself, or you have a partner?
I partner.
Yeah. So I have a partner, and he texted me, Don, I cannot support this when it comes to minorities, Nazism and stuff. I was like, Nazism? Like, what the hell you talk about? And then in the Bad Kids Discord, people like, Don, it doesn't look good, right? Everywhere. And and then I received the DM from the Remilio babies, right? From the NFT, and they're like, by the way, this was quite funny. And it's like, this
They
was the
were watching?
difference. Sorry?
They were watching?
Yeah, like
The
because
Remilio people?
yeah, I'm in touch with the Remedia babies. I messaged them like before I got into the, they send me like, when they learned I minted like 10, they send me like free mint Remedia, and then like, so we started chatting just like randomly, and before they minted out, there was like 5 people on the chatting Remedia all the time, and I was one of them, so it was easy to get in touch. And now it picked up. Um, so you see the difference. Like they got the humor. They thought it's
Right.
funny because they knew what I'm doing. They knew this is the Remedia tweet, right? This is
Yes.
it was all, but others were like very concerned about like, and it's like, man. So when I see it, I don't want to be part of this community, right? I don't want to be
Hmm.
part of the your who was the other people who tried to red pill you on Milady?
Oh, it was Asmodat and Cassandra at D1 Ventures. But your story reminds me of something. So everyone who's watching this probably saw this tweet. It went viral, and it
Yeah.
had something like 100 million views or something. And it was from a girl who her name is Maria, or at least her
Mhm.
Twitter handle says that. And it was about how to steal someone's boyfriend in like 10 easy steps or something like that. Did you see that one?
I think I heard of this. Not sure. Like
Okay. So anyway, that was the tweet. And she walks you step by step into how to identify a high value male, and if and the only way the only reason he would be high value is if he already has a girlfriend. So the way you get him to leave her for you is, well, you infiltrate their relationship, you get to know, like, befriend him, befriend her, but you have to approach it in this way where you have plausible deniability. So you pretend to be on her side, but meanwhile, you're, attracting him on his side. And it just goes through this entire breakdown of how to do it. And
mhm.
then it goes viral, of course. And, a few weeks later, there's a Twitter space. She hosts a Twitter space um, and gets everyone to ask her about this. And meanwhile, she's selling some kind of like her homemade cacao based toothpaste. So, this Twitter space is there to sell this toothpaste. But at the same time, everyone who's there is like either outraged or is in on the joke, basically.
Mhm.
They're outraged that she has the audacity to be a homewrecker and like perpetrate this like bad culture amongst women and all of that. And so I sat in on that Twitter space, and I think that 95% of the people there did not understand the performance art that it was, and 5% understood it as a joke, and then like 1% saw even deeper through the layers. So I had been following I had seen this girl around here and there, and she is involved with this like other internet like Twitter memer called Lucas Computer. And
I, look, I can't believe it. Look, um,
Lucas Computer.
I was I was just searching for some tweet for you. Do you see it?
Yes, him.
I just opened Lucas. I,
Yes,
you,
it's him. So
I love
so
this. He's my lady.
so so he so here's what I saw, because I had been scrolling through his feed like in another incident. I was scrolling through it, and then I found out that he was building a DApp on Terra Classic called Pussy Protocol. And I listened to that interview of his. And Pussy Protocol, the way it works is if you hold the pussy token, you get to be a DAO member that governs a girl who you're grooming to be an influencer somewhere, anywhere. So, as a DAO member, their allegations, which again, this is also performance art, is that okay, women, aren't smart enough to like or resourceful enough to become influencers themselves. That's why you, Maria, only have like a couple hundred followers on Twitter. So Maria is the prime candidate for the Pussy Protocol. So we are going to pimp her out and all of the Pussy Down members get to decide on how we do it. And then, okay, after I close that YouTube video down, I'm like, haha, funny. And then weeks later, this viral tweet from Maria comes out, goes fucking nuts. Viral, so viral. And then the Twitter space, you see exactly what's going on. So, and then she says that, oh, there was somebody helping me with these tweets. It was my dad. So she calls it her dad, but in reality, it was like Lucas Computer and like his
Yeah.
conglomerate of, whoever was like holding this pussy token.
Yeah. Wow.
But
It's
95% of the people who listened in on that Twitter Spaces, they were just straight up outraged because
Yeah.
what she said on the tweet was sacrilegious. 95% of people don't see layers deep and the context behind it, and they don't see the social experiment that they are a part of.
so I can't stop. Like, I'm cheering inside because it's it's so beautiful. Like, I mean, um the cultivation of these viral tweets, and this is such a beautiful art. And Lucas, this account, is like absolute master of it. um I feel this is like classic of the Twitter that many people don't get, and it works exactly on that. It works on this performance art, and that's what I found in milady. Not everyone is on this. Some miladies will join because, like, I know, prize go out, or you also will have the people that will get disappointed with something, and then they start tweeting, I'm not a normie, I'm joining. But this, like, like, you never really know. But, like, this is what you're saying. This is like why I'm choosing the certain community, because the internet is like ridiculous. It's very fun, and it makes it fun. So I saw the tweet from Lucas. It was a few months ago, and Charlotte,
Yeah.
that was cancelled, which was also funny because it was cancellation. And Charlie tweeted that he's stepping down as the CEO, but it was all like just for fun. Like, they didn't care. Like, it was just, which is funny because you couldn't cancel milady because it already had established community, not of NFT guys, but of this internet culture. So those who left, they meant to leave actually through this cancellation, probably because you would not stand. And I saw the Charlie retweeting, we never beaten the allegations. And it was Lucas saying, my girlfriend of 13 years said something for, and someone responded, why your girlfriend is 13-year-old? And the response was like, if you are my height, it's difficult to just playing along. So I can't, like, it's like, so we never beating the allegations, right? I will find this tweet later. It was just cracking me so badly. And there is a lot of communities on the internet appearing and trying to be trendy and bad, but there are like no hateful comments. It's like no nothing, and they essentially ban themselves from any fun. And you make a joke and they're like, it's hateful. Yeah. So people, would you say people in crypto underappreciate culture and overappreciate code, especially in Cosmos, maybe? Yeah.
Perhaps. I mean, again, I mean, Ethereum even preceded Cosmos, and I would say that the emphasis on technology and code started with the ICO boom, but the early Bitcoin community, there is that culture, the libertarian anarcho-capitalist culture, like, to some degree. that is still preserved, even though it's been overshadowed by maximalism and like more of a toxic culture now.
Hmm?
But I mean, I do agree that I don't think that like culture in the more mainstream and art scene sense has been made more like relevant than after NFTs came
Mm-hmm.
into the ecosystem.
Yeah, because what I would feel, despite Ethereum is one chain, right? You have different corners of that. You can go from like corner of alt right comedy to extreme left and woke and like. But when you look at the Cosmos chain, this is often one, and I think for it needs to like portion for different communities. If you know what I mean, um, it's just too small. So people still can be easily cancelled probably in Cosmos. I mean, like, because you hateful, you don't align, right? Like the attempt of cancellation of Jaquan, and I understand Jaquan is difficult and probably like is very difficult for the VC money, right? But it's still just because what he said. But like, this stuff is not relevant. I think like Jaquan, I actually think Jaquan maybe do some troublesome stuff, but it's not relevant to his this stuff. It's more about what he does for the with the code, and like that's much more relevant, right? Like there was recently situation, right? They remember with the GitHub stuff, they took over. I think they closed the Tendermint GitHub or something like this. Anyway, that's on the. Yeah, you've seen a little bit. Okay, you can. Um, but like recently on the spaces, I would speak to Jake. What do you think about Canto, right? And it's like, oh, like, well, it's just an EVM, it's fork, it's not innovation. I wonder what's your opinion, right? Like, it's like, yes, I get that, but beyond innovation, there's culture. And I looked at Canto, and it's like, wow, like I felt it has like really good alignment of people, of like the base head, and the, and it doesn't matter, it's no innovation, but like you need to create the culture within the Cosmos ecosystem as well, of people who are quite based. I think. What do you think?
So the thing that I like about Cosmos is that it is still big enough and extensible enough to allow different characters to have at least their own corners of
Hmm.
of their space in it. So, Jay has his own, and even though I mean Jay, even though he says things that can optically look bad to some people, he's still able to operate in the ecosystem with reasonable influence, because he's just able to launch his own app chain or whatever
Hmm.
and have people wanting to build alongside him. Right? So it's no one has the power to shut him down. Same as like, Jay doesn't have the power to shut other people that he disagrees with down either to and Scott with Canto, he's running his own experiment. He's on the public goods, public infrastructure maximalism train. And even if, let's say you're a private enterprise maximalist and you disagree with that, there's no, you can't shut him down. He's allowed to run his experiment and see
Hmm.
whether or not the market will validate his ideas.
Yeah.
So, I still like that about Cosmos and about the whole crypto ecosystem, right? It's just that, all of these tools and platforms and layer ones are out there to let
Hmm.
you experiment with, and no one can stop you, except in certain centralized choke points like Twitter or whatever.
Yeah. It's a good take. like sorry, getting to Cosmos. Mm, there is a lot, like I'd like to know your opinion. There is a lot of talk, like especially with this grants program with Atom 2.0 proposal. There is this: if we don't do something, Atom dies. So it's like we must vote yes for Atom 2.0 or developers will leave. You must
Yeah,
do
no,
it. And then,
that's just that. I think that's like that's you need to grief and wound people enough to make them take the action that you want them to take.
you know,
That's just like human psychology. That's like
and
sales 101.
mhm. And like after it didn't pass, I had interview with Sam, and he said, "I'm leaving ICF. It didn't pass. Everyone is leaving." I was like,
Yeah, then great. That's up to him.
"What a pussy!" Like, like it's just like, dude, get some real life.
I
Like, you got upset because your proposal didn't pass, like, and he was like, and many people went for it. Like, I'm probably not gonna get another chat. Like, I don't know, like, but there were like
That's
people
his right to
sharing my
leave
interview with
if he
him.
wants.
Sorry.
That's his right to leave if he
Yeah.
wanted to.
And there were people sharing my interview, and they were like, "Do you see what you did? Like, you see
What
people are
you did?
leaving now. No, what you did for, because Sam in the interview said, like, people who propose Atom 2.0, now they are not going to build anything because now it's up to community didn't want this, builders are leaving because they have no business." And I was
Yeah.
shocked hearing that. I was like, no, dude, the
Call him on his
builders have a
bluff. Did he
lot of
leave?
incentive. And people were
Did he
sharing
leave?
that. Sorry.
Did he leave?
He left ICF. um and but like, he wasn't builder, like, I mean, I'm not like, and during the Atom 2.0, like, he was different personality, like, he was hopeful, like, and suddenly and people were sharing that and blaming community for voting no because those builders now leave. And there is this rhetoric like, you must vote no or we leave, right? Or now with this grant
Yeah,
program, it's like,
that's called an ultimatum.
and I want to say people, no, they're not gonna leave. Like, it doesn't work like this. Like, it's or the
Well,
same with,
what about the perspective of people who say, well, you should um like do like a step function iteration to improve the Atom 2.0 proposal
Mhm.
and then incite community feedback.
Yeah, I was like,
Is there anyone in the community that threatened to leave if the authors didn't update the paper?
yeah, like, so it was very strange to
Is that
listen because
helpful?
I was like,
Is that productive?
yeah.
Or is it just to prove a point and provide an ultimatum to get people to vote the way that you want?
Mhm. So like, I try to talk to these people, like, because I feel like you need to understand the community. It's actually you. Like, if you are a builder, it's your role to build the community and please them. It's not the other way around. The community doesn't have to please you, you know? Um Maybe you have different, but because if you are a builder, you actually have more incentive than community, but you try to present it in other way, right? In Atom 2.0, I feel it was presented like, we are doing it for you, so the atom pump. That was the rhetoric, right? Like, we change everything, so we bring utility to Atom because you wanted this. But I was like, no, you have more incentive. Like, and I feel the same is with the grant programs now. Like, we must do it because otherwise the Atom will die. And I felt like, and these people are saying like, hey, we come to you, like, they often
Here's
try
a
to
really
present.
here's a really, really good argument about why Atom will not die even without the builders. Okay. Just from a Google search perspective, When you search Cosmos ecosystem, when you search Osmosis, when you search anything, any of those keywords, the output you get is atom. So all of the energy that everyone puts on building their own app chain still gets driven to atom
Mhm.
right now. So
Mhm.
even with no step function utility on the hub, all that speculative activity, like for that reason that I named alone, drives value to atom, and that's why that is false.
Mhm.
When Osmosis builds something that's useful, all that energy goes to atom. People say, "Oh, that's cool. I need to buy some more atom."
I thank you for this, because you probably experienced that. People come to you when they learn you in Cosmos. They're not saying, should I buy Osmo, should I buy stars, but they say, should I buy more Cosmos, should I buy more Atom.
Yeah,
That's the
right.
things they say.
Yeah. That alone, you can't underestimate that. So
Yeah.
the self-importance of individual builders aside, that alone drives value to atom.
Hmm. Yeah. This is what I wanted, like, really, like, ask for, because there's this grant program. There's like, if we will not make the hub compete or some, it die, it goes to zero, right? And then again, based on what? Like, the hub doesn't have to have, that's my take. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Like, the hub doesn't have to have utility. It could be a meme, like,
Yeah.
because what if it will become money? It's actually pretty fun for money, because it has this, like, issuance.
And that is Atom's utility right now because it's the
uh,
most
uh,
liquid token in Cosmos.
yeah. So I was saying, look how liquid Atom is. Like, everyone using Atom, like, it got listed everywhere. And I feel like a lot of these exchanges that list Atom, they don't even know that Atom doesn't have liquid utility, but it all makes the Atom money, like,
Mm-hmm.
even with this high
That's good
issuance, there is
utility.
adoption. Sorry.
Moneyness is good utility.
Hmm. Yeah, that
So
that
that's
was
not
my
to say
take.
Atom doesn't have utility. I'm
Hmm.
also not saying that people shouldn't continue to build on the hub, but that being said, like you have to look at some realities, right? People are saying that, oh, if we don't do anything for the hub, then the development activity is going to go elsewhere.
Hmm.
Well, people who are supposed to be maintaining Cosmos public goods are not incentivized to do so. So that's why there's less innovation on the core infrastructure like Cosmos SDK and Tendermint itself.
Hmm.
There's just more incentive for like Confio to build Cosmwasm and stuff like that. It's already happening. So, the question is not to look outward and say, okay, we're going to try to solve this problem by creating a grants program or, creating like another treasury and minting more money, but to look at what are the more fundamental systemic issues with
Hmm.
maintaining the public good
Hmm.
side of the project, which the ICF is supposed to do.
Are they doing this?
It seems like the obvious thing to do, and yet it's not like the sexy thing like Atom 2.0 is, but it's what needs to be done, but it doesn't I don't see evidence of, there's bugs that have been called out more than 1.5 years ago that
Hmm.
haven't been resolved in the SDK.
Yeah.
And there's issues with, there's so those were things that Tenement Inc. was supposed to maintain before Tenement imploded, and then now the torch has been passed to the ICF. So it's supposed to be their job, and yet why?
Hmm.
I,
Yeah. Um.
what? Like, why? How does the grants program solve that?
Yeah. Like it's sometimes hard to communicate with ICF. I think to be honest, I don't know even what ICF is doing. Um. You know. But like like what do you see right as of now where the hub is? Because I think it's very difficult with the hub and even for the grants because people say we need more wallets. I'm like, yeah, cool. Which name service hub will support this if it meant to be neutral? Like it's very hard to do something because it has like certain role. How do you see the hub evolving? Like, is it like and what you can actually build on top of the hub that enrich the ecosystem and the hub? Is there some things you can do there?
I think. I mean, interchain security seems to be like an obvious
Yeah.
step function improvement on the hub's utility. So, I mean, USDC depends on it. I know Duality is wanting to use it as well. So that seems like an obvious first step, at least. It doesn't need to do anything sexy like run a dex or
Hmm.
anything, but get interchain security right. You
Yeah.
could, that seems to be like an obvious utility bolstering development.
Yeah. There's many concerns about ICS because like for me there is assumption it's gonna work. um did you check how expensive it's actually gonna be, your validator? Did you check? like um like
I mean, I don't run a validator on the hub right now, but
oh, right.
yeah, I mean, so right, I mean, um, yeah, so you would basically need to run, uh, I think at least a light client for every single interchain secured blockchain that it does. So this, like, by scaling it, it gets incrementally more expensive to
Mhm.
run. Um, and the fact that a validator in the original set can't opt out of it, that is a little bit problematic. But assuming that the number of app chains that uses it is under 10, it should be reasonably kept under reasonably okay as long as like the validators are subsidized with the coins of those token of the consumer chains that it's on.
Mhm.
So
I calculate it could be like few dollars a month. Right.
few extra dollars, that's it, a month.
Well, I don't know what the subsidy will be, right? So my concern is like,
Oh, you're saying
okay,
the subsidy is only a few dollars a month?
no, like I don't know what will be the subsidy, but
Oh, right.
just give you perspective. So I think hub would have to be like very selective of what goes there, and USDC seems like that's the best one. I don't know if they will fully decide to be secured by the hub. Maybe they will change decision because I think for USDC it's still a risk to maybe do that. Like you have to have full control. Like, don't know. But it's great because then people can get fees in USDC. So like, and I would for me I would say that stable coins are the largest utility that blockchain yet find because like you can make these quick payments at no fee and without borders, right? So it's amazing because I feel USDC utility will grow really huge. But then at every single node for every single chain, and let's assume like some people believe it will be 1,000 chains, right? So it's not gonna happen because like then you increase the costs to potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars every month, and the workload you do, it's insanely it's insane. Like, you need to look after all that. So it's not a very viable model because of the increase. Like non-cost efficiency of the ICS. There is like it's not, and I feel the model could have been maybe improved. So I give you example. I validate Stride. I'm top 20 validator on Stride. The 5% fee and the revenue is like few dollars, right? Few dollars on being on the Stride validator. Stride also meant to use interchain security. How much hub validators will make securing Stride? It's gonna be nothing, and they're gonna pay the cost of the node, right? So
Yeah, especially if the fees are near zero.
yes, that's what I'm saying. So will Stride subsidize? If they Stride would start subsidizing the fees, the Stride would have to dilute themselves a lot because it's such a small chain, right? The Stride market cap is like $3 or $4 million now, while the hub is 3 billion. You can't subsidize that. So this is exactly like my biggest concern with ICS. It doesn't have like economic viability. So yeah, just maybe if it would.
I would have liked to see some more research done on the token economic side to solve this problem. I think that the liquid staking portion attempted to answer some of the unresolved questions, but not completely. And so, yeah, it would have been great if more engineering and mechanism design thinking went into that instead of all the bells and whistles that came on top of it.
Yeah. Do you know maybe like I know you're also non-technicals, but I would imagine like you maybe know. Would it be possible for IC, because I spoke with the David from Babylon, right? So like I'm not sure if this security model can replace ICS because it seems like cost effective, much better. So I would see like if someone was, but you cannot secure everything with Babylon, right? But more of the unbonding period, which is the most important thing there. So I wonder if ICS wouldn't be more viable, like instead of securing every single transaction, if it would be possible for the hub to secure just crucial transactions with what you just simply drive the cost near to zero. Like, would it be possible ever? Not sure if it makes sense what I'm saying.
Are those two separate questions regarding the hub and Babylon, or is Babylon folded into the hub?
No,
ICS?
so are you familiar how Babylon works? A
Yes.
little bit. So it will be like 1 hour transaction, right? Going to Bitcoin, transactions go to Babylon, and then Babylon pays for the. So it seems like cost effective if you get many chains, right? Am I correct here?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Might be an alternative, yeah.
And Babylon doesn't meant to secure every transaction, but more of this unbonding, like like it gives you like this transaction every hour. So if there is unboarding, something very that could be breach of security, Babylon can secure that, right? Because it's correct. I'm not mixing up stuff.
Yeah, Babylon would use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
To secure a Cosmos chain.
Would you say that this model make more sense than ICS, or it's different thing?
I don't think it's a drop-in replacement for ICS. Because like if we're trying to answer the question about how to make the Cosmos hub more useful, ICS makes sense.
Right.
But also Babylon is a worthwhile experiment to see if this could be an alternative. Like I don't think that there's like a winner take. I don't think there's going to be a winner take all paradigm yet. Maybe in a few years when we see, the Babylon model actually makes the most sense and it's actually economically viable, and like all of it works out, then it turns out that Bitcoin is the best way to secure Cosmos chains.
Yeah.
Then great. Or Or maybe it's best to use to like deploy an app as a roll up on Celestia and it actually works well.
Mm-hmm.
Or we say that, okay, we end up converging on the idea that, okay, only like major, mostly highly liquid tokens like USDC should use interchain security. So we should relegate the hub to securing only like the highest liquidity, highest value, highest volume coins like USDC. And then, that kind of hub security should, people should pay a premium for that.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be even like something else entirely, just like the
Yeah.
vanilla Cosmos app chain, use your own layer, use your own token for your base layer.
Yeah, because what I was thinking here, because if ICS will be essentially securing every single transaction that happens on the consumer chain, right? Am I correct here? Very non-technical person.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But wouldn't be better model if the hub would not secure in every single transaction, but just the certain important transactions, and then you can actually secure those chains at the fraction of the cost. So then, like
you have to secure every transaction.
Right. So
I mean,
that's what I
you have
wanted
to
to
like
know. If you could, this is exactly like what I was asking. So like I didn't know if you can actually just secure the certain transactions, right? Like if
no,
using, and it's impossible to ever make it like this using the
no,
hub.
yeah, because
Right.
how would you know the order of transactions? Like you can't
Yeah.
apply any parameter that says that like decides one transaction is like fake volume and another transaction is like MEV transaction, and there's just no way you would know. So they have to be sequenced in order and
And
all secure
you cannot
to
make it
prevent
like
double
you cannot find only like unbonding transactions and secure only this.
why would you only secure an unbonding transaction? If you're securing like a USDC
Right.
and people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
sending in, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. You got, because like if you secure the the unbonding is what's dangerous for security. So I believe that that's the Babylon plan, right? It's more related to unbonding, like because that's where the chain security comes from the staking.
Yeah. So, well, I don't think it has. I mean, so unbonding would be a subset of all possible
Hmm.
like actions to be done that can be done, but the outcome would be that your unbonding period on any Cosmos chain could be reduced to a day.
Yes.
But what is being checkpointed into Bitcoin on a like Babylon secured chain is it's basically hashing the chain state at like
Hmm.
any given block or whatever, or like any like batch of blocks, I guess. You're just like hashing all of that information and then submitting like one transaction to Bitcoin.
Yeah, get that. So in your relation to Osmosis, do you want to go? It's very late there though. So
I'm gonna need to go soonish. Yeah.
yeah, just let me know. Don't want to hold you. Um, so there is Axelar Bridge, right? Um,
Yeah.
and it's a multi-sig. I believe the four admins can like, and Osmosis relies on this liquidity here. Don't you think it's a little bit maybe there's some risk there? That Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, there. I wouldn't say that there's risk. I mean, there's always risk, but there is trust. So it's not as trust minimized
Yeah.
as you might want.
I'm asking because in relation to Kanto, right? Kanto bridged gravity, and it's some crazy Kanto pulls crazy volumes, and I it's hundreds of millions of US dollars were breached via Kanto breach, which is gravity. And I know Axelar, I think, limits to $5 million a day. Is correct? No.
Oh, I don't know that number.
Yeah. So like remember when like all the FTX happened, like the Kanto did like $100 million in volume, while Axelar was like limited. So just was wondering like if it wouldn't be wise for Osmosis to integrate more of the like public good bridge to give
Yeah,
alternative.
I don't know. I think from like the Osmosis perspective, the most secure bridge is ideal for now. I mean, again, I'm an IBC maxi, and so I think that the cross-chain world should eventually abstract itself away from needing bridges.
Mm-hmm.
And if, maybe it's IBC or maybe it's other communication protocol, there's only one. Like there's the cross-chain communication needs to be standardized.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, there's just not going to be a need for all of these bespoke bridges. So right now, it's a necessary evil to just like pick one bridge and optimize for like the greatest security, even though you're trading off trustlessness.
Why Ethereum would integrate IBC?
Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I think what's more likely is that they might attempt to create their own. Perhaps.
It seems like Vitalik like was kind of sharing that idea of Cosmos, something that he would prefer to do it, right? Like that he.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, so something, like something that either is IBC or looks and smells like IBC but has a different name, or whatever. We still don't. Right now, there's the cross-chain communication protocol war. There's a Cambrian explosion of that, and the jury is out to see which one we ultimately end up with.
Yeah.
But there I think there can only be one. Just like looking at how like TCP/IP evolved, it only makes sense for there to be one. Standardization needs to happen at like the protocol level, and it just doesn't make sense to have all of these little bespoke bridges across different chains.
Yeah.
It's just not efficient.
Is there like, if you would to ask you, like, shilling, not shilling, right? Do you have the certain protocols or app chains that you personally really like? You could give 2, 3, 5, whatever you want, and it doesn't have to be in the Cosmos ecosystem.
I still really like Bitcoin. I really like Bitcoin. I like proof of work blockchains as well as proof of stake blockchains. I like Celestia and Osmosis, obviously, and am a big fan of Handshake, as you know. It's just I'm a fan of the projects that have a lot of technical rigor behind them. And even if some of them may not be as technically rigorous, some are innovating. And I'm actually quite bullish on Sui and Sei too, to be honest. I do like Penumbra. However, based on the way that the regulatory landscape is evolving, I think that the privacy coins are going to be choked, and like governance tokens like ERC20 DApp tokens are also, I'm pretty bearish and sad about that, just because of the Tornado Cash precedents. So right. My thinking actually is with that, because of that, that might actually drive more of the ERC20 ecosystem onto app chains the same way that how DYDX realized. Like now it's not only economic but regulatory as well.
DYDX is great. I used it last time. I loved it.
Oh,
Um,
I still need
yeah,
to use
yeah.
it.
Sorry?
I have to
You
try it.
Yeah. Um, it kind of it's the best onboarding now. Like I learned about this, and I think like it's the best user onboarding that one could do. Um, I just use it for the video, and I was so confused because it's you deposit and it's denominated in USD, and you just have up to 20x buying power. Like it's just this, like it's perps, right? Like um, but it worked just like the centralized exchange, which is like it might be like it doing insane volumes, right? It doing like $2 billion a day, but it doesn't do these insane volumes when you look at the centralized exchange. They do much higher, and I'm like, this is so cool because that literally takes away from centralized exchanges, and I see the DYDX to be kind of like Binance but decentralized, offering this service, and this is like insane. And you know what, they did something I really like, that how they distribute the tokens that are DAO tokens now, but as they launch their own chain, I expect they will change to security tokens, right? And like ownership tokens of the protocol. So of course they have investors that receive some of the tokens, but DYDX launched the platform, and if you come to trade on the platform, they start distributing tokens to the users of the platform. If you are a trader, every month at the epoch, depending on how much you use the platform, probably on your trading volume and the fees paid, you receive DYDX token. So it's not the airdrop to the users that don't want your token and dump it, but essentially the users of the platform become the owners of the platform alongside with investors. And I think it's, in simplicity, genius distribution model. That's what we want to do. Like these people use my like platform, so I was really impressed with how they do it.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
just
That's what you should do. You should reward early
yeah,
users. That's how you
yeah,
bootstrap volume.
yeah. I'm not a trader, but like as the product, I'm really impressed with what DYDX did. You mentioned Say, they're gonna scale Tendermint, right? Make it like fast. Is that correct? Like,
So they're using Narwhal to. I wouldn't say that they're scaling Tendermint per se. They're using Tendermint alongside you building upon innovations in the like the SUI space with parallelization and Narwhal and Tusk, I would say.
um,
There's just I mean like not Tendermint itself.
mhm. Yeah, because someone like I need to discover more, because they told me like the SUI, like sorry, Say will make it possible for the consensus to have like sub-second transactions or something like. But I'm not exactly sure how it works. But you are not the first one. Like everyone I speak, they s- they mention Say to me. So I think I should probably look it up. And you mentioned Sui, which is outside of the
Oh,
ecosystem.
so okay, so wait, just as a disclaimer, I'm
Mhm.
not saying that it's necessarily going to like make it or change the world or anything.
Fine.
I'm saying that based on my current outlook on the state of crypto and where we are going ahead of the next bull run in
Mhm.
like 1.5 years or so, um I think Say can pump, and that not to say that it can necessarily fulfill the promises
Uh-huh.
that it makes today, but they can pivot if the technology doesn't meet the promises, you know.
Yeah. Why are you so sure about that bull market coming?
Oh, because I've been through 3 cycles already, and it's all just it's predictable. I mean, and like, if you read war cycles, peace cycles, and um like old investors in Wall Street who have been investing for like 53 years, it's all cyclical. So like this market is predictable. It's coming back. There's we're just at the bottom of a bear market right now, and in 2025 it'll just be back and roaring again, and it'll be even bigger, and like the bad stuff that you called out earlier on in this episode, they're all going to be back and bigger and
Mhm.
better
Yeah.
and scammier. Looking forward to it.
Um. Yeah. The best part, right? Like, I wouldn't be so sure, right? Like, because you said like 1.5 year, it's gonna be back. I'm like, the things that happened in the past, of course, it's cyclical. It doesn't have to be the same, right? Like, so not sure if you remember already in this bull market, everyone was like at the end of the 21, like it was actually different. It actually played out very different. It actually started much earlier uh, than the previous ones. It was faster, and it um, and I wonder, like, what was my question? I don't know if we actually had the bull market, because it appeared to me, you know what was bull market was DeFi summer 2020. That was bull market when Ava exploded. But 2021, so once the COVID started, there is issuance of money and stimulation of the economy. People take the money and start buying stocks, and stocks go bonkers, right? After the stocks, the same money flow to crypto. People receive these checks, $600 checks. You maybe received that. What they did, they bought Dogecoin with that, and this caused the bull market. So I don't know if we had bull market. I feel like the crypto moved with other speculative assets as the result, or as the result of the stimulation of the economy and issuance of money. Wait, maybe I'm wrong. That's kind of my take, right? So like
No,
it's
you're absolutely right. But if
Mhm.
you like just zoom out and not look at just the money printing, but interest
Yeah.
rates overall, interest rates predicate all or like lowered interest rates are the lifeblood for all economic activity, including speculation in risk on assets. So, anytime the Fed reduces interest rates, it happens, right? So, housing markets boom, stock markets boom, crypto markets boom. And I think that it's going to take the Federal Reserve at least a year and a half to get inflation down to 2%. Once they hit their target, then they feel comfortable enough to reduce interest rates to
Mhm.
get the economy stimulated again. And anytime that happens, even if they don't print trillions of dollars out of thin air, that alone will drive speculative activity.
um it's fun. It's fun to think, because um I, I I lost it. But like, I interest rates, there are anomalies, and you have Japan. Not sure if you watch Princess of Diane. Pretty good. Pretty good. I send you after if you didn't. Um so not always. Like, it can be anomaly. But I would think in 2023 we're gonna head up to very low inflation. Within like end of this year, we're probably gonna hit close to zero, which will cause another issue of, hey, money is too tight now, and if money is too tight, nothing pumps, right? Like that's the issue. So and then I don't know what they're gonna do. Um, but yeah,
You
I'm
think
never ready.
inflation will go to 0 at the end of this year? Inflation?
Yeah, that close to zero. Like that would be my. We can verify. I think it's gonna go very low. Um, so but I've been like saying that on my channel. Everyone laughs at me, but like I don't know. Uh, I will take the L if I'm not right, but. Uh, but it's cool to trying to speculate about this. Like I don't know what they're gonna do already. Like the dollar supply is actually decreasing, so it's like as it decreasing, it's hard to imagine people pouring money to crypto. Like that's also the thing. And I'm always like skeptical. I don't know where the cycles will go. But you mentioned Sui as well, which is outside of the, like, it's move language, right? The same as Aptos. So you mentioned Sui, not Aptos. Like, any reason for that? Like, what's.
It's just well known that Aptos is a scam and a blatant money grab, and Sui actually does the original innovation, and
Mhm,
Aptos just like copy pastes what Sui is building and just
mhm.
launched
Yeah.
like a private round from it. So Aptos is more the VC coin, and Sui is more the, I guess, ex Facebook engineers coin, but still, like, they actually came up with some original innovation, so that that team should be paid attention to.
hmm
So
Yeah.
that's
Uh,
more the idea.
that was my feeling. Like, everyone talks Aptos, but like, and Sui raised similar amount of money. I think 300 million. So they're like on similar levels regarding this. I feel like it's kind of, this has the vibe, right? Previous Solana, right? It will be trendy. The move language, I think, will be trendy here. I don't know as much
Yeah, I
about.
mean, so the theory, I mean, the thesis is that there could potentially be an alternative VM that competes with Ethereum,
Mhm,
whereas the 2018 2019 narrative for VC money was, okay, the theory is there's going to be another L1 that kills Ethereum.
mhm,
Now it's, okay, well, the EVM has become so lindy because of that. Well, maybe there's another type of VM, like the Move VM, that could just
mhm.
become lindier. That's the theory. I don't think that it will, and like, it won't conclude by the time the next bull market concludes, but
Yeah.
that's the trend and the direction of the space.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, you didn't mention Cosmosm, and like, I know the composable built Cosmosm VM, and the reason why you're not mentioning that is because you don't see it. Oh.
I mean, maybe. I think so. Cosmosm is really well adopted within the Cosmos ecosystem, but compared to the EVM ecosystem, Cosmos is just so much smaller. So there's still a lot of work to be done on the
Mhm.
developer ergonomics and documentation side uh,
Yeah.
before it could really see some greater adoption and usability, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, within Cosmos, it's saturated, but outside of it, it still needs, there's like a lot of headwind.
Mm-hmm. I understand. You said your parents are from Taiwan, right? Um,
Hmm.
and do you know, like, where is they were born in Taiwan?
Yeah, they were, but they were the my grandparents. Their family was part of the like, they fought against the communists and they
Right.
fled China during
Yeah.
the Cultural Revolution to Taiwan.
Yeah. Don't you know from which region they were?
I think it's
Fujian?
Hubei.
Oh, Hubei. Okay.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know. And
Mhm.
yeah,
So,
Jiangxi. I don't know where those are.
okay. So your parents speak Mandarin? Yeah. Like,
Mandarin. Yeah, I speak Mandarin
Mandarin.
too.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I was asking because a lot of people in Taiwan, they come from Fujian province, so they also speak Fujian. So I was asking, right? Like, that's the my mom of my wife. She's from Fujian. So they're always
Mhm.
between, like, often they talk Fujian, but like speak Cantonese, which is in the region here. Yeah. So I was just curious about a little bit of the background. What you up to these days?
Um, Validating, advising, and investing in crypto.
What crypto you invest into?
I invested in Celestia. I invested in Duality, and looking into, say, potentially.
Hmm.
I invested into. There's another one. I'm forgetting the name. Um, yeah, another a fund as well.
So are you like private or you run a VC fund yourself? Are you part of the VC?
Private and spinning up a
Yeah,
VC fund.
right. How the person like you, right, like private person, can get access to like investing in Celestia? If
I just
someone
asked.
wonder how to start, right? Because how you get into that round, or
I just asked.
oh, and you ask early enough. That's what you need to do. You ask early enough that I have some, and you tell I have some money I'd like to invest, right? That's the was it that recent round, or maybe you were previously
Yeah,
invested?
it's the recent round.
Ooh, it's not, quite expensive. It valued them at over 1 billion.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it will do well.
So maybe I'm a little NGMI. Who knows?
It's very hyped. I think we'll do fine. Like, and what else did you? Sorry, other ones did you do?
Uh, I forget the name. I'm blanking on the. Oh, Skip. Yes, Skip.
Skip protocol. Yeah. And what are you investing before also like this, or it's for you it's the new venture that you're doing?
No, this is new.
New venture, right? And so sorry, like you don't have to answer, of course. Is there like, does this project have like usually minimum amount that you have to invest?
Yeah, some of them do. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
I think they typically do, or they give you a ticket size or something like that. Yeah.
Right. There was one interview you had with SBF,
Yes, that
and
was years ago.
oh, okay, because someone keep bringing this up, and I said someone shared this. So you knew him actually, or just like had the
So Brent Shu,
yeah.
the Umi, um, he was on my team at Tendermint, and then he wanted to bring SBF onto that, like basically a virtual meetup, Cosmos
Uh-huh.
Unchained. And that was when he connected me, and I reached out, and then SBF just said yeah, and he
Oh,
just came on with Eric Voorhees and uh, I forget who else was on there. And we were just talking about C5 versus DeFi, and then it turns out that DeFi emerged the winner. What would you?
yeah. Who
What do you
would have
know?
thought, right?
Yeah, the decentralized projects
Yeah, because
had legs.
well, it's hard to do scams when it's open source and decentralized, right? Like it's like you can't do anything bad. It's out there. You can see it. It's
Yeah,
verifiable.
auditable. Yeah,
Yeah. Someone said Juno. You don't like Juno?
I like Juno.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, like it was a lot of it's much nicer now. I'd say, probably you probably heard there was some stuff before going on, and now it's finally this nice small community formed. Um, that I'm quite appreciative now.
Yeah, I think Juno is needed. It's like the permissionless chain
Yeah,
that people could just like rapidly run experiments on.
yeah,
Whatever they want. It's if it's worthwhile experiments. If it's not, you could just. So
yeah.
it's useful to have that.
Hmm.
Whereas Osmosis would be more opinionated about what it allows to use its compute space.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's good place to experiment, and if it finds this role, this good utility, someone has to be the experiment. So it would be pretty cool, like the you know, um, battle testing field. You mentioned Umi. I like Umi. I really like those guys. They are very actually open to community, which is interesting to see because they were like very, VC funded. But compared to many community funded, they're actually coming more to community than other chains. Like it's nice to see of them. Um, Not sure what I know you validate them as well. Like so um, have you watched any movie recently? Some interesting movie?
I am not a fan of modern day movies because they're
Yes.
mostly woke, and that
Fucking
is
hate
just
that
so
shit.
boring to me. Huh?
That's why I'm asking. I didn't see any good movie. Like, I hate. I They stopped making movies. They stopped making movies that touch the soul. Like, you go and it's Avengers, and I fucking get so bored. Like, my ass hurt when I watch it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
focused on the pain. I cannot focus on the movie. It's like,
Yeah, it's they've de-emphasized story and character development and emphasized demographics and representation and I don't know, moral
yeah,
grandstanding and a message, the message. So,
yeah.
I mean,
So
I belong to a demographic that apparently is supposed to benefit from this, but I don't enjoy it at all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Me too. I was obsessed about the movies before. So like, but I really like the '90s era of like Paul Thomas Anderson, like Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino. I like actually, Paul Thomas Anderson. My favorite is. But yeah, I struggled because I feel in few years they don't make the movies that tell the stories. You know what I mean?
Right.
That the storytelling about humans. It's very hard to find. That's why I was asking. There is premiering this movie called The Whale. I want to see by Darren Aronofsky. Um, it's hard to get the spot in the cinema. You might want to check. Do you read fiction books?
I don't tend to read a whole lot of fiction. I mostly read nonfiction
Yeah.
because, uh, I'm more like I don't know. I'm pretty pragmatic. The best fiction, the last fictional book I read recently was Animal Farm, and my favorite one is 1984.
Yeah, yeah, that's a classic. Um, from nonfiction, what's your favorite books overall? What's your favorite books overall?
Um, I like. I mean, right now, War and Peace Cycle is pretty good. Yeah, I love Jordan Peterson. So his book really resonated with me. I went to go see him January of last year. He came to my city and I got to hug him and I cried.
Hmm. And he cried, I assume. He loves crying.
No, no, he didn't cry. He was
Okay.
like smiling. He cries when he talks about things that are close to the heart. Like he only
Hmm.
started crying after his wife got cancer. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that anytime someone asks him a question that strikes a chord, it has to do with that more than anything.
Yeah. Like it's very difficult. I have sometimes problem. Like he's certainly the person I'd like to talk to. Um, and like it's like I liked him, but then I kind of didn't. Like at first, I did. Like he truly like um, it was like I was always curious, like because I feel like I'm always very trying to be very sensible with everything, right? So and it's stupid. Like I always catch this tiny stupid shit. Like, and it annoys me because I cannot really fall fully for something. So remember he got addicted to benzos, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, and then he goes and which is irrelevant to what he preached. Like, let's make it clear, right? And he's like, I didn't know. I'm like, dude, you are a clinical psychologist and the data is since 80s. What the fuck you talking about? And it's like shatters all the picture of the guy. Like, no, you are not
Oh,
good psychologist. Then like he would have videos, like very old videos, what's the advice on insomnia? And he's like, there are some good medications, Zopiclone. like, like like, and I have to keep like sleeping medication with me as the emergency, but they're like and it was around the time that he was getting addicted to benzos, right? Like, and I'm like, no, like you can't do this. So, but yeah, like it's outside of the other stuff he's doing, right? Or like I remember he would go on podcasts and he would be like, I didn't sleep for 30 days. I'm like, you slept. You just didn't know you slept. It's impossible for the body to not sleep for that long. Like you
mhm.
can't. Like the brain starts snoozing. So it's like he would say the things that potentially are non-factual things, which is like I like, but it's problem with me because I can, like, so I will try to catch the sentence. I'm like, no, this sentence is not factual. That this, and I hate my
Sure,
life.
yeah. He was being perhaps hyperbolic.
Yeah. So I yeah, that's I don't trust his daughters. His daughter. I think she lie. I think she lies. She's on the meat diet because when I look on her, like she has the certain amount of fat, and I don't know if it's possible to do on the meat diet. So I don't know. Conspiracy theory of Don Kryptonium. So like, but um, yeah, but
Oh,
but
okay.
but yeah, I get you. I like to. I would listen a lot to him. I still listen, like I had that period that I would listen tons, especially when it comes to some debates um and it fits with all of that rhetoric of like, cancel culture. Um and
Yeah, if you enjoy that, you might like Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray is another really good one. So Douglas Murray and Matt Taibbi were on a debate with Malcolm Gladwell and this other, I think it was like New York Times or Wall Street Journal
yeah,
reporter, and they were debating whether or not you should trust mainstream media. So the mainstream media people were saying we're pro mainstream media, and Douglas Murray and Matt Taibbi, independent journalists and independent book writers, published book writers,
yeah,
are saying you can't trust mainstream media. And that debate was just an absolute wreckage. Like they railroaded the mainstream media writers. So if Jordan Peterson is not your cup of tea, I think you might like Douglas Murray. He was also on like modern. He was on Modern Wisdom. Um he talks to what's his name, the anarchist. Oh, I'm forgetting his name. Um
no, it's not that he's not my cup of tea, right? I always look for the bad things in people. I don't know, I always look for which is problem. But what I'm saying, I listen a lot to those. Like I'm ultimate consumer of the content of the, could we call it kind of philosophical video content and debates, right? Like, so I enjoy like a lot of this stuff, and it's quite funny that like someone like, people would try to cancel Jordan Peterson, which is like absolutely insane, right? But yeah, I will check Douglas Murray as well. Like, um mainstream media kind of become funny now. It's like a comedy when you read mainstream media, right? It's
oh, it's a satire. It's so funny.
yeah,
They're outdoing the Onion and the Babylon Bee. Thomas Sowell is another
Oh,
amazing writer. I really
Thomas Sowell. I know Thomas Sowell. I it's very like I Thomas Sowell. I was reading Thomas Sowell books like 13 years ago. So
your battery's about to die.
it's fine. You want to go?
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
your battery's about to die.
Yeah, I know. Just so that's why I closed it to not make it as visible. I zoomed it in, but yeah, Thomas Sowell. Like I really like, So I had this period. I was teen, and I got this, as everyone got fascination with Milton Friedman at some point, I think. So I had my period of fascination with Milton Friedman. So I started consuming a lot of as the teen, like a lot of the Milton Friedman content. And I remember that's how I find out Thomas Sowell. So I just enjoyed this kind of stuff, and that was the first fascination of like Ayn Rand. Then of course there's a lot of changes. You distance yourself, you get in closer and stuff. But yeah, this is like Thomas Sowell, when it comes to economical philosophy and stuff, like I would say this is the economical philosophy I align myself more, right? And the modern culture would call Thomas Sowell racist, right?
For those of you who don't know, Thomas Sowell is black.
Yeah, doesn't matter, right? Like racist, like yeah. Is it possible to become uncancelable? Um,
What? Unconsolable?
uh, non-cancelable. Is it possible to get to the stage that you
Oh,
cannot be cancelled?
yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. This is what I'd like to do. Sometimes like I feel like you need to do bad stuff to remove all the people who try to cancel you, so they cannot touch you again, right? It's like um I was what I mm,
I mean, there's people you want to put yourself in a position where you're not going to be enslaved by any people or system.
mhm,
Like the moment you subject yourself to any of those chains, so to speak, that's when you become cancelable, and that's when you're not free.
yeah,
So if you work for an employer who can destroy your livelihood, or if you work in an industry where a group of people can destroy your livelihood, or if you operate on just one platform that you depend on for monetization, that can destroy, so it's just being on the lookout for that and ensuring that you're safe from that. Like if you lose any one of those things, you're still good, then you're uncancelable.
yeah. Like sometimes I'm worried, like I need to be careful, because if I lost the geek at Stargaze, I'm kind of fucked. um and then I feel like, well, if I can make it with Remedios, then I can stop caring, and then I can say everything, be cancelled, and just not giving a shit, right? Money is important in this part, because you need this to kind of become this. If you get cancelled and you're dependent on employment, that's fucked up, and that ruining people's life, and it's pretty sad. Um,
That's
Charlotte
mostly what
Frank,
cancellation is.
sorry,
That's mostly what cancellation is.
yeah,
That's the pinnacle of cancellation, is when you ruin someone's life because they say something that you disagree with.
yeah. Um, it's interesting, like even if you think of like um it's a very modern thing that happened in like last 15 years, that we started censoring like words. We create the words that you cannot say, right? Like, which is very strange, because
Very 1984.
Yeah, it's like it's just a word. It's just word. It doesn't mean anything. Like, but you like not this word. It cannot be said, right? Like, why? It's a word. It's in the dictionary, right? It's.
Yeah, I think people who say words are violence have never been at the butt end of actual
Yeah.
violence, because if you had, you would never think that.
You're a millennial, right? Yeah, we are the worst generation in that terms. Like, um, I feel if you hang out like Gen Z, much better. They don't give a shit what you say, So it's like I feel the millennials create a like most toxic. Maybe I'm judgment. Like I'm millennial, right? So, and I
No, I think
don't.
you're right.
Yeah.
We have
Um.
leaders of the millennial woke zeitgeist, and they say stuff like that, and words mean a lot.
Yeah. The Charlie, said councils are shit test by the loser commons, and if you let them draw any blood, they only get more bloodthirsty. If someone ever tries to cancel you, the two magic words to get out are not "I'm sorry," it's "grow up." So it's like you can never apologize for that's the worst. Like because if you apologize, you are done. It's gonna they want more, right? Um, okay, Chjango, it was great pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, was great. Like really, thank you for and like for all the content you do. Um, it's very late, so I guess I let you sleep. Is there any question that you wish maybe to be asked and no one really asked you and it's always been missed, but you're like I wish this person would ask me that?
Oh, I can't think of that. I can't think of something off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's good. So thank you, and I guess enjoy your night. Yeah.
All right. Thank
And
you. Thanks for having me. Bye.
hope we can chat again. Bye bye. Take care.
Certainly.